Hello and welcome to Making the Trade. My name is Clint Bowers, founder of the VOLSTA Media Network. And today with us we have the lifelong success story, Ray King, of Semaphore, Snap Names, About Us, and now Top Level Design. Thanks for joining us, Ray. So, early on as a teenager, you got a lot of attention for your very first venture. Explain to us what happened.
So the cool thing that we did was my dad's office was near Grand Central Station, and I borrowed a card table from him and literally brought it down right into the middle of Grand Central Station and sat it next to a newsstand because I knew I needed power. So we set up this card table, put an IBM PC on top, borrowed the power from the newsstand, which by the way meant that his light went off. But he was a really nice guy, let us do it, I guess because we were attracting a crowd the whole time. And what we did was we showed Lotus 1, 2, 3. So we had the screen up, showed people you can put 3 numbers on, and right on the screen get a sum for those 3 numbers. And then we showed people that you could change a number, and the number in the bottom changed automatically. I know that's not a big deal today, but at the time, people were just literally falling down dead on the street, couldn't believe it, had to learn more, so we just brought them right upstairs. We packed 6 people in a room at a time and provided computer training. And it was fun. We were young, just 16, 17 years old, had a few friends with me. The New York Times picked us up. We had a whole full-page article on what we had done, during the summer between high school and college. We were seen on Eyewitness News, and we made quite a bit more money than most of our friends that summer.
Your previous web domain-related company, Snap Names, grew to a substantial size. How did it get started?
Towards the end of my first business, which was Semaphore, I was getting a little itchy, and I was experimenting with purchasing domain names. And at the time, this was back in 1999, I had wanted a domain name called raysworld.com, kind of like Wayne's World. And so I called the guy up, and I asked him, the current owner of the name, I said, can I buy this name from you? And he said, it's no problem. I'm just going to let it drop, and you can pick it up because I'm using this other name anyway. So I said, great. I waited for the day for the name to expire, tried to register it, and it wasn't available. So I said, okay, I'll just wait a little while. I tried again in a week, it still wasn't available. So it turns out that it takes a little while for the name to break free out of the system, and at that moment, it was an indeterminate amount of time. So I found myself checking hour after hour if the name was available, and finally got so frustrated that I wrote a little utility to check in an automated fashion. I actually looked at the Whois record, and I had this utility email me back if there was any change in the status at all. And then lo and behold, a month or 2 later, the utility came back and said, aha, I've noticed a change in the status of this domain name, and it turns out it was available. I went and registered it. When I told my friends about this story, almost everybody had a domain name that they wished they could have had. So people were saying, can you run your utility on this name or that name, etc. And that was the genesis for Snap Names, which was tell us the names you're interested in, we'll watch them, and if they become available, we'll snap them up. So we went from checking every hour to every minute to, at the end, it was an arms race. We might make 10 or 20,000 requests for a name within the first 5 seconds the name's available, using servers that were right next to the central registry. But the concept was the same the whole way through. And what I loved about that business was it was kind of like just a cool, small innovation, but around an area that was important for people, and one that we were ultimately able to make a pretty big business out of.
Another company of yours, aboutus.org, experienced immense and rapid growth as a wiki-based directory. What challenges did you face during that time?
It got off to a really good start. We managed to get close to 10 million unique visitors per month, mainly because we were using an algorithmic method to build these wiki pages. The problem was that we built so much so quickly, and we didn't really understand how to get people to edit for the right reasons. So most folks were on just trying to correct information about their company, and using the site more like a directory or a way to promote their businesses. And I think that the value proposition wasn't really there. So at the same time, because the site was very popular, we were generating quite a bit of ad revenue, and we got addicted to that. So we couldn't change our direction, and yet it was the wrong direction, and it put us in a slow downward spiral. And despite many pivots, we weren't really able to commit to a proper pivot in a direction that would make sense, mainly because we couldn't wean ourselves off the revenue that we were getting for, in essence, the wrong reasons. And that did not produce a great long-term result. Super painful.
Throughout your career, what was one of the most significant and impactful experiences you've had?
With Semaphore, which was a business that sold financial software to architects and engineers, we had an interesting moment in the summer of 1990. Architecture magazine called 7 companies that provide financial software to architects and engineers, of which we were one of those 7, and said, we're going to do a shootout to figure out what the different features are and who likes what software best. And it was conducted in Chicago. And I remember that there were 2 companies assigned to each piece of software to evaluate it and kind of share their thoughts. And the idea was to go out and work with your 2 customers, and then all those customers would get in a room and ultimately opine on the different products that were out there. I got on a plane a full week earlier and decided that I was going to meet with every single customer, whether they were on my software or any of the competitors. It was really cool because we ended up winning that shootout, and the shootout was never done again afterwards because none of the competitors could agree on the format that would be fair. So we had the results of this very prominent Architecture magazine article, and for 10 years we printed out a 1-page reprint of that article with the grid on the bottom showing that we were number 1, and our competitors hated us so much, but that one single moment was a way that we turned the corner, and we were able to grow our business basically from 7 people to over 100 over the next decade.
Okay, last question, Ray. How is your latest venture, Top Level Design, helping shape the next era of the internet?
Top Level Design is a registry, and we're trying to bring new domain extensions, which are technically top-level domains, to the world. And I'm super excited about this because I've always loved the domain name business. Domain names exist so that we don't have to remember IP addresses. And in the last, from 1995 until now, domain names have been pretty much dominated by .com. We've been in a .com equals internet mindset. New extensions allow us to bring more semantic meaning to the domain name. So if you see a name that ends in .dentist or .basketball or .art, .music, you know roughly where you're going, and that adds a lot of value. So breaking people out of the .com into the not .com mindset is something that I think will take place over the next few years as the new extensions get rolled out. So what's fun right now for us is that we can kind of tell this story, and it's a mini aha moment for people, and it's great because there's going to be so many more descriptive domain names, and the internet will be a better place for it and a wider place for it.
Dedication that shows no signs of slowing. That was Ray King of Top Level Design. For more information, visit www.tldesign.co. I'm Clint Bowers with the VOLSTA Media Network. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. This series is produced and distributed by the VOLSTA Media Network. Be sure to check out other great shows, episodes, and more at VOLSTA.com.